The great post-war rejuvenation of interest in motor racing has led to the birth of a succession of new circuits in Britain. To compensate for the loss of Donington comes the latest addition to the family at Oulton Park in Cheshire. Like Donington, it is enclosed upon a private estate, formerly one of the stately homes, and much money, time and effort has been expended to bring course and surface alike up to the highest international standards. A trip round the mile-and-a-half circuit, soon to be extended to double that length, brings us from the straight at the start into the first bend, a right angle appropriately called Old Hall Corner. And when an experimental closed permit meeting on August the 8th brought a selection of Formula 2 and 500 machinery up to Cheshire, it didn't take long for the boys to find their way around this one. The power behind this venture, and I don't mean those double-knocker Nortons, is Cheshire Car Circuit Limited, an organization of businessmen proposing to run the circuit as a business. Despite rumors to the contrary, every race promoter operating to date will swear there's no profit in the game, or not in terms of big-time LSD. But seen from the driver's point of view like this, it's obvious that Oulton has much to offer, including an admirable short straight here for maximum acceleration, and as you can see, there should be no trouble here in getting the foot hard down. Not only do the trees add that natural road flavor to surroundings, so sadly lacking at most airfield rendezvous, they also provide an excellent vantage point for cameramen. Small boys of all ages, please note. But there's really no need to go bird's nesting when the roadside banks provide a natural grandstand. Next curve up is the Cascades, a long right-hand affair calling for eye for line and nice judgment for the gentleman in a hurry. Here's where the stylist can maintain a rev or two. Again, seen from the driving seat, the problem posed by the Cascades can be appreciated even at touring car speeds. By the way, the extension to make a 3-mile lap of it comes off to the left at this section of the course. Immediately after Cascades, the road sweeps on still further to the right and over a bit of a switchback. This spot, known as Range Corner, preserves a memory of Oulton's war service as a training camp. And if the Battle of Waterloo was won on Eton's playing fields, what Grand Prix triumphs may we look to in the future from Oulton Park? But soon it's in to top again for the fastest section of the course over Clay Hill. There's nearly half a mile here of gently curving road where once again acceleration will pay a dividend of seconds saved. Some comment has been caused by the width of road. Some say too narrow, most say no. After all, Donington has been the model here, not Brooklands. Oulton's as wide as the Nürburgring, and there's room enough to pass all round the course. A Bailey bridge to span the road will ensure free access to spectators and their cars to the inside of the circuit for this sort of view. Another right-hander now at Druids, the third corner of Oulton's roughly quadrilateral shape. Though slightly more than a right angle, the curve is well swept and regular. It's certainly a top gear curve for the 500s, probably one cog down for the Formula 2 machines and most sports cars. Out of Druids, it's a short straight, once again with some suggestion of a gradient. And then the final corner of the course, Lodge, the sort the gatekeeper lives in. As the Emerson takes the curve, you can see what a tricky little spot this is up to the Deer's Leap. And the switchback here has the rear suspension working overtime. Under the bridge already built, with the spacious paddock and pit area to the right of the road, the timekeeper's inevitable bus marks our completion of the lap. These other gentlemen apparently wish to press on a little further. Those, then, are the ingredients that together make Oulton, a mixture of curves, corners, straights, and gradients. In fact, the mixture as before, but now served upon a new dish and spiced with a flavor of the North Country. The inaugural meeting, though not open to the public, attracted a large gallery of spectators. The meeting was promoted by the Mid-Cheshire Car Club, but naturally officials of the competitions department of the RAC were there in force to cast an official eye over the proceedings. Dennis Flather and Stanley Barnes, manager of the competitions department of the governing body of British motor racing, sported their official armlets. While Lawrence Pomeroy, Murray Austin, and George Williams, Castrol racing manager, celebrated the christening of Oulton in suitable style. The opinion of high-caliber drivers is invaluable, and Peter Whitehead was all praise for the new circuit.
I had to unmute real quick just to say that those three guys standing
and
around
was
drinking.
Tony Rolt, who illustrates
That
his point
looks like me and
with
Cheese on
mere
Fridays.
Italian enthusiasm. Needless to say, practice on the new course was particularly important, and the driver's briefing was undertaken with due care and attention to detail. There's never a shortage of able volunteer officials in British motorsport, but at Oulton's first meeting, they had to earn their free view with a vengeance, and the newly surfaced road called for some attention. And here, we venture to suggest, is an object lesson for all who undertake the vital job of flag marshal, all neatly to hand in order of priority. Now he only has to remember which is which. And here, recorded in film, is a moment in motoring history. For the first time, the circuit at Oulton Park is officially closed for racing by the clerk of the course. And as the official procession moves off on its formal lap, countless hours of enthusiastic toil, the lifeblood of motor racing, reap their just reward. For the first time, the quiet parkland of this corner of rural Cheshire reverberates to the roar of the pack on the starting grid.
All lined up now. The flag is up.
And as the cars sweep off to the first race, every enthusiast in the country must wish a great future to Oulton Park.
And with that, good afternoon, folks. Welcome. We are back for Green Hell Racing's Oulton Park week 1, round 2. Yesterday's was the sprint race at Brands Hatch. We had a 10-minute qual, 20-minute race. And today we move on to Oulton with a much longer race sitting at a 15-minute qual, 45 minutes. So going to be a lot of fun on a circuit that I will tell you myself cannot yet drive. I'm horrible. I really need to practice it. I find it very thin, very narrow, right? And very difficult to navigate sometimes, particularly some of the chicanes and understanding brake points and things like that. But again, welcome to anyone who's watching. We will get in racing going on soon. But until then, just wanted to take some time and provide some context to the track, much like we did yesterday, and give folks a little bit of a taste of what Oulton Park is all about. And again, I mean, it's the thing, you look at this flyover, the track doesn't look horribly narrow. It doesn't, but for some reason, there's something about it just makes it feel very claustrophobic. I don't know why. But cut right out of the forest in the UK, rolling with the hillsides, not a track that was built like some others we see that were, the land was kind of changed for them and stuff. This is basically rolling through farm fields, right? So interesting to say the least. So again, guys, we can see just rolling through these hills. No real harsh elevation changes here that I can think of. Maybe coming onto the start finish straight, right? A little bit of a change there, and of course around the back, you come up a hill, but nothing like a spa with Eau Rouge. Nothing like Laguna Seca with the corkscrew, right? I don't think there's that much of an elevation change across the entire track. right, guys, and just one more to share with y'all. Much like yesterday, I want to make sure we throw a track guide up there for anyone who's new, who doesn't race. I know the Green Hill guys will have been practicing and probably watched this exact same track guide at some point, right? But for any of the uninitiated that might be here yet, we want to go ahead and make sure you have a good understanding of exactly what you're going to see happening today.
Hello, here we are doing another track guide, and today we're at Alton Park, coming to the final corner. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the lap. Nice and smooth exit, picking up speed, coming up the hill. We're going to look to the first corner now. Looking at the left, we have a lower fence, and we'll pick up to a higher fence just over here. We're going to use that as a braking reference. Also on the left of the white line where the track begins to open up a little bit, we can use that as a braking reference. Brake alongside that hard, and then beginning to trail a bit. On the first corner, we want to have a late apex. We don't really want to get onto the grass because we have similar issues to Donington where the car bounces around. Coming up to the left here, we don't want to go too wide because the track limits are really strict. You can probably go just a tiny bit wider than this, but not much more. You'll probably get track invalidations there. Most common place to do it on this track. On the right, coming back down the hill, there's a big dip in the track. You'll feel it as you go over it, and there's also the Pirelli signs on the right. We're going to brake alongside that. Braking hard, then we're going to coast a bit, letting the car grip up. Don't run too much onto this curb on the left. If you do, only use a little bit on the exit of the corner. Wait for the car to grip up again, and we'll put the throttle back on. We can use all this area on the outside of the track. Here we are, coming down the next straight, preparing for the next corner, which we don't use the brakes for, at least in this car. We'll begin turning just before that off-road on the right, and as we reach that off-road, we're going to lift off the throttle, completely coast, let the car grip up, and then when it does, maybe just a tiny bit of trail braking, but when the car grips up, we're going to go again. In a different car, this is the McLaren. Here we're going to lift later and also turn a little bit later than the Nissan. Just a different type of car. It handles a little bit differently through here. I think we can also brake a little bit earlier since we carried more speed through the corner in this car. Each car will probably handle a little bit differently there, but back to the Nissan, we're going to brake right here, just alongside that orange mark on the left, maybe just a tiny bit after it. And we're going to double apex this hairpin here. We're going to touch the inside early on. We're going to drift out in the middle, carrying the speed, and then accelerate back on the throttle. We don't want to go wide too early here because I think the track's a little bit off camber on the left a tiny bit maybe, which will push you off the track if you're not careful. Now up to one of the first chicanes here. Hopefully that pole won't get taken out during the race, but you're going to brake just a little bit after that, and then we're going to cut right over this curb here. It doesn't do much to the car. Then be right on the brakes after that, quickly to pull it to the right. We're going to have a late apex on that. If you cut over that curb too much, it'll throw you off the track. I went a little bit wide here. I ended up having to cut right over this curb, which is valid, but you can see the car didn't really like that. Now down to the second chicane. There's a board on the left there. You're going to brake either on or just before that. And then there's two ways you can take this turn up here. You either miss the curb, go around it, or you cut right over it. And you don't really want to half do it because the car bounces off the circuit on the left. You can cut a lot of this one. You don't have to, but I do here. Every little bit counts, and you can just scrape that tyre, as you're going to see right here. The fender sort of gets inside of it. That was valid. I did hit the tyre. I don't think you can do much more than that, though. We're going to try pull it back to the left here for this right-hander here, and this one is one of the most annoying parts of the circuit. You can cut across this right-hander here, but on the left you don't want to run too wide, because if you drop a wheel off the side of that curb, it's going to wreck your lap. You're going to get stuck there. You won't be able to pull it back onto the track until you're at the end of the curb and the rear wheel starts spinning up. So really do your best to avoid running off the track there. Here we are, just a few more corners to go. You're going to brake just before that Sunoco sign there, or maybe alongside it. And then we're going to hit the apex, the first apex here. Coasting in, just a little bit of trail braking. And we can accelerate quite early here. You'll find that the car grips up a lot. Trusting the grip and pulling it all the way up onto the left side of the track, you're using that runoff. And here we go to the final corner. There's a sign, the right-hander sign. We're going to brake just before that, hard on the brakes, and then we're going to have another late apex onto the final corner. Using the curb, and then make sure you prepare for any sort of oversteer that you might get. To correct that, get hard on the throttle, use that runoff if you have to, and then stick to the left. There we go. And this will be a lap time of a 1:32.4. There's definitely a few more tenths in it. I admittedly could have been spending a bit more time on these tracks trying to squeeze a little bit more out of it, but I think what I've shown here will be enough for a good lap. You'll be able to use these references and make up the time where you can. On that following lap, I also gained like a 10th or something similar to that, but then I messed up the next corner. I'll let you watch the same lap again, just without me talking, and we'll be back after that for a pit entry guide. And yeah, we'll see you then.
So obviously a complicated track, right? Not an easy run at all. And look, every track we run, whether it's whether we talk about Spa or we talk about Misano or Imola or any of them, they all have their quirks and everything else. But as we watch here, I mean, really, this chicane coming up is probably, I know for myself, and again, limited experience, I haven't driven this course a lot, one of the most difficult because you've got to get down on it, not lose too much, but then come out flying for this back straight. So again, not the easiest track we run, and again, I find it to be very narrow, and it's going to be curious to see where we find the passing today, right? I think back here, right where he's running right now, I think we're going to see some passing, possibly coming up into this slightly faster right-hander, right? But it'll be curious again through that chicane and that back stretch where we see passes hit, because you've got to be on the brakes so much for the first little dip, and then again that second chicane around the tires. I'll be waiting to see who catches who and where they do so today.
Okay, so that was the lap, and now we're going to take a look at the pit entry, which is it's not too bad. It's blind over here when you're coming up the hill, but on the right there's two orange markings on the wall that I pointed out on screen. You're going to brake almost right in between them in the middle. Hard on the brakes, just lift off a little bit as you turn, then back hard on the brakes as you straighten up again, and that should be 50 km per hour on the line. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Next will be Snetterton, and that'll probably come within the next couple days. See you then. Goodbye for now.
And with that, guys, that's all I have up front for a little history, a little info on Olton and what the guys can expect today, and what our viewers can expect to see as these guys start running. And with 5 minutes before qualification starts, I'm going to step away just for a quick second. I'd encourage anybody who is watching, the list of streamers that you see on your left-hand side, I can't promise that those guys are streaming today. They're the ones I've grabbed so far. I am hoping to continue to add to that list. A lot of the guys in Green Hell do stream. I'd like folks and viewers to jump over and give them some love. Make sure you do a follow, because you know what? It's not just, make sure you follow them, because it's not just these races that they stream. They do their own thing. I know, I think it was Fife. Steadfast, I know, I'm pretty sure was doing F1 racing yesterday. I know I saw Fife on after yesterday's, I believe it was after yesterday's race, streaming in the Porsche. And I know Pizza Man Pete streams regularly as well, things that are not directly involved with Green Hell Racing. The other day I caught him he's doing the single player. He's doing a season, like a full championship run on the single player of ACC. So make sure you give those guys a follow. Again, you can use multitwitch.com to follow them. I'm going to step away real quick, and I am going to pop a real fast commercial, because when I do that, it ensures that if anyone joins us mid-race, they shouldn't get an ad. They can jump right into the racing and not miss anything. So I'm going to pop that off. You guys hang out. We'll be back for qualifying in just 3 minutes. All right, folks, we are back, and we are going to be getting ready for a little bit of racing here. I'm just waiting for the message that says everybody can join the server. And we will jump right in to qualifications. And that announcement is up. Let's rock and roll.
Green light. Give it all you can.
So now we get to take a look, and qualification really is for taking a look and seeing, who's around today, who's not. And I apologize, it's going to pause real fast while I make some adjustments here to our audio to make sure you guys can hear me over the cars, but we can still hear that too, right? That's always fun. And we can start taking a look at exactly who is running and where we are going to see our quals land for this 45 minutes at Oulton Park today. So far we've got Bigelow in the room, on the track. We've got Doc Fork, Dan 000, and I did see a notification just to let you guys know Dan 000 is definitely streaming today. So make sure you head over, give him that follow, and again, using multitwitch.com, take a look. I didn't see notifications from, let me see, there's another one up. B-Fife today is also streaming his race. So again, make sure you go and give him some love. Dan, B-Fife, and Max Charb all out. B-Fife hasn't hit the track yet, but he'll be out there. Burr Rastzim, I don't know who that is. I have never seen that person. Steadfast, Burr Prin, don't know who that is either, but we got two Burrs. So I'm a little curious as to who that is in the race, and we will see what happens. BK Ferrari and Donkey Pete and Nat JB. And I'm just going to let y'all know, I got a message yesterday, no longer have to refer to Nat JB as Shorty on Discord, because he is now Nat JB on Discord as well. And that's the confirmation. Pizza Man Pete, otherwise known as Donkey Pete, on our board here, is also streaming today. So again, multi-Twitch, and I keep saying multitwitch.com. I apologize, guys. It's multitwitch.tv, where you can put all the streams together, watch all these guys race at the same time, okay? Plus, get the commentary. Namaste Maru has joined the paddock, and who's coming in at number 13, we will see here in just a minute. Number 421 in the Mercedes. Pierre has jumped in, and Pierre, good to see you in the chat as well, my man. So everyone's hit the track except for Pierre, who obviously just jumped in. We've got 11 minutes and 25 seconds left in Qual, so we should start seeing some lap times come in here soon. Again, very curious who the Burr are, because there's two of them. And again, you're going to see a little pause there, guys. I do apologize. If I can get things to do what they're supposed to do here, that will stop, and we can get back to the Qual. So we'll follow Bigelow around the track for a little bit here while we wait and see some times start to come in, and we will start looking to try and grab some of that information for you guys and make sure we zone in right on it. And yeah, one thing I noticed, BB Lightfoot and Ferrari are both in the Porsche. Those guys are going to have to drop back and come pick a different car, I believe. I don't... Listen, I'm not a car guy. I like racing. So for me to remember, this is British and this is UK and this is Italian. I mean, obviously, like, Ferrari and Lamborghini I know are Italian. Mercedes is German. BMW is German, things like that. But some of these cars, like the Bentley and the Aston, things you don't hear about as often in the real car world. And when I say real car, I mean street car, things like that. It's hard for me to keep straight where they come from. But we could see a very different mix. So to try to explain a little bit while we're watching times come in, with Doc Fork setting that first at 1:369 and Bigelow, Burr, and Dan falling in right behind so far. Something to explain a little bit about this season and about these 3 weekends you're going to watch with this racing is that this is the British versus German Challenge. So 6 tracks, 5 of them are British, 1 of them is German. However, the cars, when we see these guys race, normally during a green hell season, I would say normally only because the one I raced, season 6, and I believe before that, you picked a car, that was your car for the whole season, right? So myself, it was the Audi Evo. For others, whatever it was. I know Chief Blaze runs the Bentley, right? With this season, what's happening is the drivers need to change cars either every other race or every other weekend, okay? So let's take a look at Nat, for example. We know he ran the Bentley yesterday, and he has, by the way, bumped right up to number 1 now. But we know Nat ran the Bentley yesterday, and he is again running the Bentley today. So that means next week he's going to have to pick a German car to drive those 2 races. Okay, and Ferris is telling me that Porsche is German, so we're good. And I don't know where Porsches are made. I'm not a car guy. I apologize for that. But I didn't see, it's funny because I didn't see anybody running them yesterday, so I kind of thought maybe that was not part of it. I think everybody ran mostly British yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. But again, the Aston, so again, Doc Fork, I believe, ran the Aston yesterday. He's probably going to run something different next week. And no one's got a list that tells me or anyone else what cars each driver's running. I'm hoping to get that for seasons going forward. Makes my life a little bit easier. And I am actually going to make you guys watch me go into options real fast and see if I can find the one that tells me, it's not going to be there, that lets me see the names above people's cars. Because I got to tell you, AI driver name tags. There we go. We'll enable that real quick. Except I'm an idiot and I probably didn't save it because this game's weird. And there we go. This is, again, I really hate doing it, but it makes life so much easier when we can see the names above the cars. These guys change liveries often. And again, with this season, changing cars the way we are, it's important that we be able to see what's going on. So we're going to have to see the floating names above their heads, but that's okay. I don't think it takes too much away. We want to try and go for realism here and give you guys as much action as possible. And I think in doing so, adding that is only actually going to help in this particular case. And as we come down to 6 minutes left, let's take a quick look. Nat JB has shortened it up to 1:35.6. Dark Fork still right behind him. It doesn't look as though he's shortened up his time any yet. But I know better than to discount Doc Fork. He's probably going to get into that 1:35, given what we know about him. Okay. Donkey Pete at a 1.374. So these guys are running real close together. And we know Pete had some trouble yesterday with setup and fuel usage and everything. And at one point had to dive into the pits to avoid an incident. But again, right now sitting in third, so looking real good. Burr Prinex, again, don't know who that is, but welcome to the club, man. Appreciate it. Haven't seen you around. Sitting in the pits at a 1.6 over. B Fife at a 1.8, and that rounds out your top 5, all within 2 seconds of each other. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody can hold with Nat today like they were unable to yesterday. We all know from watching B Fife, Doc Fork, those guys have the pace. I think watching this, and knowing enough now and having watched enough of the Green Hell races, Doc Fork's got great pace, man. The guy can run. He really can run. A little aggressive, I think, sometimes for his own good. And I think he would really place better if he sometimes pulled it back, right? Not just involving incidents with other folks, other drivers, but also we saw him off track a number of times yesterday where possibly a little bit less aggressiveness probably would have kept him on track. I think he would have placed much higher. Donkey Pete, I've watched his stream a couple times. I know he can drive absolutely, so to see him up there in third doesn't surprise me. And Fife, we know, came in second yesterday to Nat JB. And again, seeing him back a little bit in the field doesn't really concern me at all because I know he's got the pace and he's going to be able to open this up. And again, with 2 tracks a week, you know, previous seasons, it was a track a week, one race on Sundays. With 2 tracks every week now, you have to remember the drivers are having to split their time and figure out where do I need to practice. Do I need it, you know, this week, do I need to practice Brands Hatch or do I need to practice Alton Park? So it's possible that Fife put all of his time and effort into Brands Hatch and maybe is not as familiar with Alton, knowing exactly where he can cut that time down. As we head down here, BK Ferrari in number 6 right now. Let's change that up a little bit. BK Ferrari in number 6, Bigelow sitting at number 7, Max Charb number 8, Namaste Maru, and Steadfast rounding out your top 10. And again, if we look, all real close right in here, right? Number 7 from Bigelow, really down to Burr and even Dan, all within that 1 second time frame, right? I mean, sitting very, very close together. Fife has now moved up into 3rd, pushing Donkey Pete back a little bit with a 1.5 over. Take a quick look at the timetables. You can see what kind of times these guys are running with only 3 minutes left in qualifying. We're still going to see changes, guys. You know, some of these drivers run right until the end of qualifying to try and push that absolute best time out, get right to the front of that pack. But we're still seeing Nat JB with our top time of 1:35. Doc Fork and B Fife running so close, 6/10 separating them. Again, and we're not necessarily talking about, you know, qualifying 6/10 can be a wide margin, okay? But it's more about what's their average pace, what's their race pace. And if we're seeing them both sit 1.36s, it's a good chance we're going to see them run close together, right, during the actual race. So if as we head down the list here, 1.37s across right here, and 2.42 and 2.72 for Burr Prin and BK Ferrari. Wicked tight, right? And hopefully see a good battle there during the race. Bigelow, Max Charb, Namaste Maru, Steadfast, Burr, Rastism? Yeah, I hope so. And Dan 00 Alpha, all running in that 1:38. So there's something, you know, again, we can talk about pro versus am. We're only running one race today, so the pros and ams are mixed. Also, I'm just looking at the spread, right? I'm looking at the times between these guys and saying, Jesus, they're all within 1:38. We're going to see some really good battles today. And I think that, to me, is what's important. We're going to see some real racing. Not just, you know, everybody spread out. Because, again, to that comment yesterday, I love watching Nat. I love watching Fife. Those guys are so fast, and I try and watch them, especially Fife, because I go back and watch some of his streams sometimes, trying to see how he runs differently than I do, being an AM driver myself, and trying to understand where can I cut time. But I can tell you, you know, when you're 35 seconds ahead, you're probably not going to be on camera very much, right? Folks want to see the battles. I want to see the battles. So as we round down here with just a minute left, our field is pretty well set. We haven't seen a lot of changes coming along. And just want to take a minute, welcome everybody to the show. Zorax is here, Electric ECC. Surprised you're not running this season, man. I thought you'd be right up in there again and trading bumpers with these guys and seeing right up there with Dr. Fork. I know you guys drive together, so was a little disappointed to say that I didn't see you in there. I wanted to see you do some driving, but welcome to the show anyway. Who else we got here? All kinds of folks. Ferris is here. All right. Doc Fork. Again, watching. Appreciate the views, guys. And just 24 seconds left now. Winding down in Qual. And we will see how this goes real quick. It does look as though our top 5 is pretty well set, right? Even if Doc Fork brings it a little tighter in on Nat JB, or even gets ahead of him, our top 5 is set with Fife, Donkey Pete, and Max in the pits. Burr Prine's still running, so maybe could jump ahead and bump Max a position down. But we shall see. Namaste Maru is finished out completely, finishing in number 8. And again, guys, as we finish this out, I just want to take a moment to mention that Pizza Man Pete, okay, or Donkey Pete in the race, B Fife. I got to go back and look, make sure I don't miss anybody. Pizza Man Pete, B Fife, and Dan 00 Alpha are all streaming the race from their perspective today. So I encourage you all to go take a look as we finish this out real quick. Take a look at our grid coming up for the 45 minutes at Olton. Nat JB securing pole position with a 134, so he cut that down, 134.9. Doc Fork in the first row with him. Burr Prine and B Fife taking up row 2. Donkey Pete, Max Charb row 3. BK and Burr Rastism. Dude, if I'm saying it wrong, I do apologize. Row 4, Namaste Maroon Steadfast in row 5, Bigelow and Dan row 6, BB Lightfoot and Pierre in row 7, and I think Michelin was a late join, did not get a time clocked, but that's all right. He is sitting at the back of the session. So, as per Assetto Corsa on Xbox, I've got to jump out. I'm going to set a 2-minute timer here. If I don't jump out, I may be stuck. Well, you know what? Let's stick around. Let's stick around and wait, because I should at least be able to see the formation lap start. Then even if I have to jump out and come back in to be able to spectate, at least I'll know the formation lap has started. So, again, Nat JB, Doc Fork in the front row. We got Burr Prine and B Fife following right behind them. Donkey Pete and Max Charb, followed by BK Ferrari and Burr Rastism. Namaste Maroon Steadfast, Bigelow, Dano, BB Lightfoot, Pierre, and that Michelin bringing up the back of the pack. But I can tell you right now, this is not, where we qualified yesterday was nowhere near where we finished with the race, right? So there's going to be changes. Now there is for this race, unlike yesterday. Yesterday, no required pit stop. Today there is a required pit stop. You have to add fuel. Tire change is not required, however. So it's going to be curious to see, does someone front load real heavy with the fuel and go in late, staying out on the track longer for the first half of the race? Or do you go out light, right, front load your pit stop, say in the first 15 minutes, and then try and hold on through the rest of it? Okay, so it's going to be very curious. Obviously, less fuel probably means a faster lap time. But depending on your placement in the grid, which do you want to do? Okay, so it's going to be really curious to see this race today, because every race I've been involved in required the mandatory tire change and fuel. That's a 30-second pit stop. If you have no damage, straight up 30 seconds and you're done, right? With fuel and no tires, that gets real different, right? I watched, I think it was, who was I watching yesterday? Or this morning? It was either Fife or Pizza Man. No, I think it was Fife I was watching in the Porsche race. That basically, he had to get, he was going to run out of fuel, and he basically needed 5 liters to finish the race. So he had to come in the pits. It was a 3-second or 4-second pit stop. It was wicked fast. So again, not needing that tire change is going to change things up a whole lot during this race. And it looks as though I am stuck on... Oh, I'm changing camera views. How wonderful for me. So I will stick with this formation lap for just a second, guys, but I am going to jump out here real quick because I am stuck on one car, it appears. I can't change vehicles. So that being the case, we're going to jump out real quick. But now that the formation lap has started, we can come right back in. I'm away this weekend, but I'm back for the next 2 weeks. Okay, so we're going to see Electric Run the next 2 weeks. That's excellent. Excellent. What the shit? Really? All right, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm going to fix this while we do the formation lap, and hopefully it's quick. Good Lord. Fucking Xbox. And it still says I'm disconnected, so give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to get this fixed. God, I hope I don't miss the front end of the race. This is the first time this has happened to me. It's only the first time, I promise. It's all right, Chief. At least I didn't jack up my arm, so whatever. Why don't you go find something to do with your slinged up chicken wing? Since all of a sudden my Xbox has decided it is not going to connect. One second, guys. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that says I'm offline, so we'll reload it real quick and get back into it here. I guess this is why it's a test app, right? All right. Yeah, glitch in the matrix is right, and we're going to miss the front end of this race, and it is pissing me right off right now. Because there's no reason for it. Oh. I mean, given that it's streaming to my PC, you would think, it's connected to Xbox Live, right? Yeah, apparently not, jackasses. Yeah, your console's connected. Really? Is it? Is it, though? Is it? And the worst part is I don't even see, like, there's no button here to reconnect Assetto Corsa itself to the servers. So the stream may end prematurely today, guys. If any of you guys in the chat can take a look here and let me know if, I don't know, are you able to connect to the race via spectator mode with the password green, and let me know. Thanks, Electric Man. I hope it goes well too. I'm trying to get it back in there for us. This is just a little ridiculous. I've restarted the game twice. I guess I could dump the Xbox out, right? This is just making me mad now. Alright, so we'll shut that down for a second. Turn off the console. Yeah, no, it was wonderful, Xbox. Thank you, Microsoft. You guys are awesome. Absolutely, guys. If there's anything, go head over to Multi-Twitch. Make sure you pick up Pizza Man Pete. Fife is there, along with Dan 000. And we'll see if we can get the hell back into this for you. This is the second time this has happened to me, but it wasn't during a race last time. It was just Assetto Corsa just basically gave up the ghost and said it wasn't going to connect and it didn't care anymore. Kind of like Chief, just gave up. Said I don't want to do this anymore. Even Xbox Live says I'm signed in. And unfortunately, it seems like it's the Assetto Corsa side just does not want to connect at all. So I apologize, racers and watchers, but it looks like we cannot connect to the Assetto Corsa servers for some reason. And I don't know why. It makes no sense. What the hell is this? I don't care about that. Why are you telling me? Oh. Gotta love it. All right. One more last try here, guys. Actually. We will try that. We'll try a full restart, hard restart, and see what happens. And hopefully we can get in here. Obviously, we'll be missing the front end of the race, and I apologize, folks. Given that the connection was nice and solid all the way through qualifying, I'm a little wondering why all of a sudden it decided it didn't want to play nice anymore. But we'll get there, hopefully. And yes, quit. Shut up. I know it quit. Maybe my Series X just decided it doesn't want to work anymore. Oh, take a look at what it's doing over there. All right. We are completely rebooted. Let's see what happens, guys. And Assetto Corsa is still stuck at just connecting, even though I am obviously online. So guys, I'm afraid I am going to have to let you go for today. Obviously cannot get connected to this race. Don't know why. It's just being completely stupid. So with that said, I would again encourage all of you to head over to B Fife, Dan 000, and Pizza Man Pete's streams and take a look at what they're doing. You'll be able to watch those guys race together on multitwitch.tv. Just going to give one more shot here to see if rebooting the game does it. Again, my Xbox itself is telling me I'm connected to Xbox Live. I'm connected to the internet. It's obviously streaming to my PC because you guys can see it. But for whatever reason, Assetto Corsa doesn't want to let me connect to their online stuff at all. Can't even bring up a list of servers. So can't get that low green light at the bottom whatsoever. So hopefully the race is still going and more people didn't get booted out. But I'll let y'all go for today and basically just delete this stream and say to hell with it. But thanks for joining. I will be back next week. I assume I'm going to have the issue fixed at that point. I do appreciate you guys all coming over here and taking a look at the race as much as it was, at least for qualifying. We know where they started, right? But again, thanks everybody for joining. I'm going to go ahead and kill the stream, and I encourage you guys again one last time. Pizza Man Pete, Dan 00 Alpha, and B Fife are all streaming the race. Be sure and jump over there and watch those guys. And we will be back next Saturday for week 2, round 1. Thank you much.